Good morning, everyone. Hope you girls are doing great. Now, I'm going to move on to your next topic. But before moving on to the next topic, let me brief out what was done in the previous class. So, in the previous class, we finished with the meaning of economics, the concept what actually economics is, was done in your last video. So economics, I'll just brief it out. Economics is nothing but it is a science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and square means, which has alternative uses. That is relationship between human wants and the resources to satisfy those wants is nothing but economics. And we also studied what are economic activities, what are economic agents. Economic activities are nothing but activities performed by various economic agents. Economic agents can be an individual, it can be a business firm, it can be government, it can be a nation. So these economic activities, okay, what these economic agents, that is individual or a business or a government or nation, these economic agents performing various activities are nothing but economic activity. Okay, now economic agents like individual like you can, it can be, you know, a individual, it can be a teacher, it can be a doctor, it can be a individual person. Okay, individuals is a individual person. So individual person who are engaged in production of goods and services are nothing but they are also economic agents. Like production of goods and services, producing goods, okay, producing goods which earns income. Okay, that is nothing but producing goods for an economy is nothing but economic activity. And service is nothing but a service of a teacher. Okay, teacher rendering the service. Okay, and service of a doctor, service of a lawyer. Okay, it can be any kind of service provided, by a person, individual providing services. Okay, so for which they are paid. So these are nothing but economic activities and economic agents. And then like we studied, we say, it says that economics is a relationship between ends are nothing but human wants. Scarce means are nothing but the resources that are available for a person to satisfy their unlimited human wants. Okay, now we also studied problem of how does a problem of choice arise. As I said, it's an important question. How does problem of choice arises? Problem of choice arises due to satisfaction of satisfaction of unlimited wants out of limited resources. Okay, now this is based mainly, problem of choice arises mainly due to scarcity of resources. Scarcity of resources, shortage. Scarcity is nothing but shortage. So shortage of resources giving rise to problem of choice. Okay, now we studied the basic problems of central problems faced by an economy. Okay, central problems faced by an economy are nothing but what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. What to produce is dealing with what commodity to produce and in what quantity. Okay, whether consumer goods or producer good, industrial good or agricultural good, or luxurious good or consumption good. That is nothing but what to produce and in what quantity. Once they decide what are they going to produce, they have to decide, the economy have to decide in what quantity the selected commodity is to be produced. And then second is for how to produce, sorry. How to produce is, once they select what commodity are they going to produce and in what quantity, they will select what how are they going to produce this commodity. Okay, whether by using labor intensive technique or by using capital intensive technique. Labor intensive is man force, capital intensive is machinery. So whether they are using machinery or labor force, man force. Okay, so third problem is for whom are they going to produce, because in the economy there are different sections of people living in the economy. That is weaker section and the the that is the rich and the poor. So whether they are going to produce the commodity for the rich section or for the poor section is one of the important thing that is to be decided by the economy, one of the important decision to be taken by the economy. So that is nothing but your third, that is a third central problem. Okay, so these are the three central problems faced by an economy. So before that you also did micro and macroeconomics. What is micro and macro, girls? Previously in the previous class I just gave you an introduction. Okay, I just introduced, or I told you the meaning of, gave you the meaning of micro and macroeconomics. But now in today's class I'll be elaborating, because this is a 2 mark question where you have to write the difference between micro and macroeconomics. You will be doing it, I'll be doing that in detail today. But just like micro, what I did in the last class was the meaning of micro and macroeconomics. So what is microeconomics and what is macroeconomics? Micro is derived from a Greek word micros, M-I-K-R-O-S, which means small. Okay, micros means small. Okay, micros is nothing but small or individual unit of the economy, where microeconomics studies the individual unit, okay, or single unit, whereas macroeconomics is derived from a Greek word macros, which means study of economy as a whole, not individual. It will study the entire economy as a whole. Now examples for microeconomics is, example is per capita income, individual demand, or aggregate individual consumption. Now, or individual supply, individual demand, individual consumption, all these are nothing but examples for microeconomics. Now macroeconomics is nothing but it studies the national income, because the aggregate counterpart of microeconomics, per capita income, the aggregate counterpart of per capita income is national income, and the aggregate counterpart of individual demand is aggregate demand. Aggregate, sorry, this macro counterpart of individual consumption is aggregate consumption. So when you study micro, you're only studying individual units, but when you study macroeconomics, you are studying the a whole unit. Okay, it is not individual but a whole unit, or a total or aggregate unit will be studied under macroeconomics. So this is all about macro and microeconomics. Now last topic which I did in the last class was production possibility frontier. Because this production possibility frontier is nothing but, here resources are limited in nature, but human wants are unlimited, and the limited resources have unlimited, this limited resources have unlimited ones, alternative uses. So here, because the resources are limited and wants are unlimited in nature, the economy should decide as to how are they going to use these limited resources in producing a commodity. Okay, if for producing a commodity, for producing different goods and services, because the resources are limited in nature, how are they going to utilize these limited resources? So what the economy will have to do, or the producer have to do, is they will have to make a choice among the possibilities, production possibilities that are available to them. Okay, we took an example of two commodities, corn and cotton. Okay, where the limited resource, that is we took an example of land, acre of land. So using 1 acre of land, how many units of cotton and how many units of corn the producer will be producing? So we also studied the meaning of production possibility, production possibility frontier. So what is production possibility frontier? Production possibility frontier is nothing but two goods. Okay, it is a combination, it is, frontier is a graph. Okay, production possibility frontier is a graph which represents the combination of two goods that the producer can produce if by effective utilization of resources that are available to him. Okay, that is nothing but production possibility frontier. Girls, one more thing you will also have to know on what is production possibility set. Okay, production possibility set refers to collection of all possible. So it is when you put all the combinations together. So we had 5 combinations, A, B, C, D and E. When all these 5 combinations put together, okay, that becomes production possibility set. So the collection of all possible combination A, B, C, D and E, no, the combination, all the combinations of goods and two goods, okay, that can be produced by a producer with a given amount of resources and given technical knowledge, given stock of technical knowledge, is nothing but production possibility frontier, which is a 2-mark question. Okay, production possibility set, sorry, that is a 2-mark question. Now this is the table what we studied in the last class, that is production possibility frontier table. So can you see 5 combination and 2 commodities, corn and cotton. So different amounts, different quantity of two goods that the producer can produce by using the available resources. Okay, available resource, that is limited resource. So by using, in the first possibility for the producer is 0 units of corn and 10 units of cotton. That is when the producer is using all the resources, the entire resource is used Okay, for the production of cotton alone, he can produce the highest unit of cotton, that is 10, and 0 unit of corn. Likewise, he can select, he can make, he'll have to choose, out of these possibilities available to him, possibility A, among all these possibilities, he will have to make a choice. Okay, he will have to make a choice. So make a choice in order to select the appropriate, appropriate combination of commodities. Okay, any combination of these two commodities by selecting any possibility available to him. Okay, and if you take this possibility A, we studied that he is using all the resources only for production of cotton, and he is producing 10 units of cotton. If he is selecting possibility E, he is using the entire resource for production of corn, and he is producing highest unit of corn, that is 4. Okay, and we also studied that there is opportunity cost involved in here, that is, opportunity cost is nothing but it is next best alternative that a producer will have to forego for production of one unit, okay, for production of a commodity, by sacrificing the production of another commodity. Like, see, earlier he was producing 10 units of cotton. Now if he is selecting possibility B, he cannot produce 10 units of cotton, but because he will also have to produce corn, right? So out of these 10, he is producing 1 unit of corn instead of 10 units of cotton. In possibility B, he is producing 1 unit of corn and 9 units of cotton. 10 minus 1 is 9. So out of, instead of 10, he is just dividing it, okay, the production of units. So 1 unit of corn and 10 units, 9 units of cotton. Again here, he cannot produce if he is selecting possibility C, he cannot produce 9 units of cotton. Instead, he will have to, if he is increasing the production of corn from 1 to 2, he should reduce the production of cotton. That is opportunity cost. For increasing 1 unit of one commodity, he will have to reduce or forego the production of another commodity. So see here, he is increasing the production of corn, but he will have to reduce the production of cotton. So that is nothing but opportunity cost. The next best alternative available for the producer for production of one commodity by sacrificing the production of another commodity. Okay, now this is production possibility frontier. Okay, this is frontier, a curve, a graph, a curve in the graph. Okay, now x-axis representing production of corn, y-axis production of cotton. Okay, now you plot the numbers here, 1 to 5 for corn, 0 to 5 for corn, because 0 is the origin, it will be there, and from 2 to 10, that is, here you will have to make it an even number. You will have to make the numbers even, so you are taking it as 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. Okay, so you just take from the look at the table and plot the same table, okay, in the graph, and you have 5 combinations, A, B, C, D and E. Okay, when you are joining these combinations, you get a production possibility frontier. Okay, on the production, any point on the production possibility frontier represents different combinations of 2 different commodities the producer can produce by using the resources available to him, and any point below this production possibility frontier means the producer, different combination of 2 commodities that the producer is producing either by overusing, that is wastage, by wasteful utilization, employment of resources, or underemployment of resources. So that is nothing but production possibility frontier. So this is the what we did in the last class. Now let us move on to your next topic, that is you have organization of economic activities. Okay, how are economic activities organized? Okay, another important question, organization of economic activities. So what are organization of economic activities and how are these economic activities organized? Okay, there are various economic activities that take place in the economy. Okay, and these economic activities, when the organization of activities will help to solve the basic problems of or central problems of what to produce, how to produce and for whom to produce. Okay, how? Let us study. Now basic problems can be solved in 2 ways, either where it is only the private sector and no government interference, or the government interference, sorry, or interference by the government, and no private interference. Okay, that is laissez-faire, where they say laissez-faire is nothing but no government, no private interference. Sorry, no government interference. That is private sector. No government interference, but it should be said as least government interference, because there is no economy without government interference. No activity can take place without government interference. Now, first is free interaction of individuals with their own objectives. Okay, that is as it is done in the market. That is the private sector. Okay, the private sector interfering, okay, in the economy in order to solve the central problems or the basic problems. And private sector have their own objectives. Okay, this private sector mainly operate on market forces. Okay, they mainly operate using market forces of demand and supply. Now, planned manner, that is second, is where with government entering into the economy, government interfering in the economy in order to solve the central problems. Government is also called a centrally planned economy, and here it is the government which is operating in the economy in order to overcome those basic problems. Okay, by having welfare, it can be either economic or social welfare as a objective. Okay, so these are the two ways how the basic economic problems can be solved. Again, let me repeat. First method, first way how the economic problems or central problems can be solved is by private interference. Okay, private interference or capitalist interference of the private sector in the economy in order to overcome the economic or central problems by having their own objectives. And the objective of the private sector is always profit. And this private sector or market, here private sector always operate on using market forces. They always operate using market forces of demand and supply. Okay, they always operate using demand and supply forces. The second is the government, that is the public sector. The public sector or socialist sector, that is where the government will interfere in the economy in order to overcome the central problems of what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce, by having their own objectives or set of objectives. The main objective of the government is always either welfare of the economy or welfare of the society. Okay, in a planned manner. So these are the two ways how the central problems can be solved. Now let us study all these in details. That is, first let us study the types of economic systems. Okay, there are three types of economic systems. So these economic systems depicts the organization of economic activities. So they tell us how the economic activities are organized. Okay, so there are three types. First is centrally planned economy, which is also called as socialist economy. Second is the market economy, which is also called as capitalist economy. Last is mixed economy, the blend of the government and private sector, where both government and private sector work side by side. Okay, performing their respective duties with their respective objectives in mind. Okay, now let us study each of these economic system in detail, because these are also important questions. So first, this is for 5 mark, and 6 mark, and this is also for 6 mark. Okay, so I guess these are for 4 mark. These are 4 mark questions. Okay, these two are 4 mark questions, and this is not asked. This is just for the sake of understanding. I think you have 1 mark question. This is a 1 mark question, objective type question, but these two are very important. Okay, you will have to explain these two in detail, separate questions. First, that is, and these are quite simple and easy. Okay, because these are related to your the day to day functioning of the economy. Okay, day to day functioning of the economy. Now, first, that is the centrally planned economy, or it is also socialist economy. So, what is centrally planned or what is socialist economy? Now, centrally planned or socialistic economy is nothing but, here it is an economy where economic decisions are taken by the government. Okay, where the economic decisions are taken by the government, centrally authority. Okay, it is a central authority. It is a government which is a central authority. So all the economic decisions with regard to an economy are taken by the government. Okay, and it can be any decisions related to production, distribution, exchange, and consumption of goods and services. So all these decisions are taken by the government. Now, like, see, it is the government, when you speak about the centrally planned economy or the socialist economy or the government. Okay, it is, as I said, the only motive or objective of the government is economic and social welfare. It never aims, or it never it'll never have its objective as profit. It'll never work for profit motive. It'll always work for economic and social welfare of the economy and the society. Okay, not for its own profit, not to earn profit. So how, what does the economy do? How does the economy solve these problems? How does the government solve the problem of what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce? So when you speak about what to produce, okay, what to produce is what commodity are they going to produce. So when you speak about the government, it solves the first problem of what to produce is, it'll always produce commodities for the society. Okay, it will always produce for the commodities for the society. Like, if it feels like, it finds, if the government finds there are certain section of society, or certain section, suppose certain group of people who are suffering out of starvation, having no food to eat. Okay, they don't have food to eat. So the government will produce food for the, in order to overcome this problem of starvation for the poor people. Okay, it will always produce the commodities for poor people if they are in need. Okay, if they feel that poor people are in, are in urgent need of a particular commodity, it will produce, the government will produce the commodity for the poor people and not for rich. Okay, it is not never, it is never working for the profit. It is never working to make profit. Or you can also say, if the government feels that there is a necessity of development or provision of education and health for the development of society and the economy as a whole, it will concentrate or give more importance for provision of education and health and nothing else. So always when you speak about what to produce, when you speak about government solving this problem of what to produce, the government will always solve this problem by keeping the economic and social welfare in mind. Okay, anything that is important for the welfare of the economy or the society, it will produce that particular commodity. So that is how it is solving the problem of what to produce. Second is how to produce. Okay, so how to produce is by either using labor intensive or capital intensive technology, right? So it will always, if the government feels like in the economy there is unemployment. Okay, if people are unemployed, they are having no work to do. So the government, in order to solve this problem of unemployment, it will, instead of using more of machinery, it will use more of labor in order to solve the problem of unemployment, in order to provide work for the unemployed or jobless people. So instead of using capital intensive, okay, it will use labor intensive, just to provide labor employment or job for the jobless. Okay, so that is how it is solving the problem of how to produce. Okay, third is for whom to produce. Okay, for whom to produce is whether to produce for rich or poor. Okay, it will always produce, if poor people want the commodity, it will only produce for the poor people. Okay, because it is always working for the welfare of the economy and the society. So it will always produce for the poor section, rather than producing for the rich section. So that is nothing but your centrally planned economy, a socialistic economy. Now, examples of centrally planned economy countries, okay, where this centrally planned economy, okay, this the government, it is only the government interference and no private interference, is China, Cuba, North Korea, Vietnam, etc. So these are the countries, example for your centrally planned economy. So this is nothing but your centrally planned economy, a 4 mark question. Next, the market economy or capitalist economy. Now, girls, never get confused, because see, based on my experience of evaluating the paper, I'm just telling you, many times, though you people know the answer, though girls know the answer, they tend to make a mistake, you know they get confused between centrally planned and the market economy. Okay, they get confused between the socialistic and the capitalistic. Okay, you always remember socialistic when you study. Socialistic for society, okay, for socialistic is for the society. You just keep in mind, socialistic is for society, that is government. Okay, capitalistic is for profit, a market economy, it is for profit, that is private sector. Socialistic is government, okay, public sector. Capitalistic is private, that is private sector or a market economy. Don't get confused. Okay, read the question carefully, please understand the concept carefully. Okay, now market economy or capitalist economy, it is completely different from the previous, that is the socialist economy. This private sector economy, this market economy is nothing but economy in which the economic decisions are made by private sector. Okay, private sector making economic decisions based on market forces or market mechanism of demand and supply. It is always working, the private sector always functions based on the market forces. There are two market forces, that is market forces of demand and supply, the price mechanism. Okay, now this again, it also tries to solve the problem of what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Okay, how does it solves it? Because always remember, this capitalist economy always works for profit. It always has profit as a motive. Its motive itself or objective itself is profit and not welfare. Okay, its objective is profit and not welfare. With this capitalist economy is the economy in which economic decisions are made by the private sector by focusing or and it is based on two market forces, that is market forces of demand and supply based on price mechanism. Okay, so now how is this market economy or capitalist economy solving the problem of what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce? First thing, what to produce is what commodity to produce, right? Now this, that is government produces commodity, okay, which are which people need, okay, based on the need of the people, based on the necessity of the people. What commodity the society needs the most, that will be produced by the government under centrally planned economy. But under capitalist economy, it will produce the commodities which can get more profit to the private sector. Okay, any commodity that is getting more profit will be produced based on the profit. Okay, a commodity that is getting more profit or more income to this private sector will be produced by the private sector. Okay, so that is what to produce. How to produce, it will never look, if even if people are unemployed, private sector is least bothered. Okay, it will always produce it will always produce the commodities. Here what the private sector do is, here cost minimization and profit maximization. The major another objective is cost minimization and profit maximization. That is, any technology whose cost is less, but the same thing can get him more profit. Okay, now See, if the private sector, government say is, public sector is using more of labor intensive technology, because in order to solve the problem of unemployment. But the private sector will use capital intensive technology. Why? Because the sub example, see, a wristwatch, okay, to produce a wristwatch, suppose it requires 3 to